Hello YouTubers, and today I'm reviewing this, which is one of the new B&M sets, which is the History of the Daleks set number 14, Revelation of the Daleks set. Now, this set has a lot of controversies and that to it, and some of them I'm going to approve, and some of them, I'm more sympathetic with. So, let's get into this. So, both Daleks are exactly the same with these, so there aren't any differences between the two, so yeah. This is a great army builder pack to get if you want to army build some Necros Daleks. So we'll just focus on the one and that for now. So one of the main complaints about this is that it is not a new 80s Dalek sculpt, which, yeah, we were never ever going to get, not at B&M. If this was a retail release, maybe. But at B&M, no. I mean, head sculpts are one thing, but basically to get an accurate 80s Dalek sculpt, basically, like, you'd have to essentially do a completely brand new sculpt. And Daleks, unfortunately, the most expensive figure to just make when you have the mold. So doing a brand new mold of them just like wasn't within the budget. And I don't blame it for that. I knew it wasn't going to have it to begin with, but I was interested to see, what tweaks and stuff and that could be made to make it a bit more like the 80s Dalek sculpt. So, let's get into this, shall we? Mine has a bit of free plastic on the plunger. I'll swap it for this one. There we go. So, this one has been given a new sort of white finish. There we go. We'll zoom out, we're getting focus. There we go. So, it's been given a new sort of white finish. To be honest, I'm mixed about it, to be honest, because in certain lighting it does look a bit too of the sort of ivory white of the Imperials, whereas it should be more of a proper white. This one has been given the white to make it look a lot more sort of Imperial-ish, and I'm kind of mixed about it. Also, for some reason, these do not have the glossy finish that the single release had. The sound effects version. The sound effects version and I believe the Toys R Us version had the correct sort of gloss. But for some reason this one, I mean, it's more of a satin finish, which is, again, incorrect. It should be a very glossy finish. These were very, very glossy Daleks, and the fact that it doesn't have that finish is just like, why? Something that does have that's more accurate is it has the wider oval. So yeah, this is a new piece. Just at the front here. So basically this front section here is a completely new piece here, which, yeah, it's maybe slightly too pronounced jutting out there, but it is appreciated that this one finally does have an accurate oval to it. Also, this time it accurately has the straight gun rather than the pinch gun of the previous releases, so that's something in that as well. However, the plunger is just being painted completely gold, which is less accurate than the previous releases than them, unfortunately. So yeah, the end bit should technically still be silver, really. The inside pole and that is still silver, so that's unfortunate. Something else that is new, though, that is more accurate are the dome lights, which, if we get a good focus on, which of course we never will, you can see there that they're slightly narrower and slightly taller than the previous ones, and they do have the little bit of black paint in that round there. So yeah, that was something I didn't really need to change. The Mini Cooper lights, or fake Mini Cooper lights that they were using for, all the previous 70s and 80s Daleks were fine, but yeah, it is nice that these ones are slightly more accurate, slightly. Something that is more accurate is the eye scope, particularly its sort of bulbous end bit as well, and the 5 rings. We've had a load of eye stalks with this Dalek. We had the original release, which had an eye stalk that was just the regular 70s one. Then we got the second singular release in the sound effects wave, which had a modified eye, but the ball at the end was far too big and too flat. And this one, I think, finally, gets it right, pretty much. So, that is nice. And it's also nice that this time the eye, it's actually, the iris and that is actually part of the sculpt. It's not just printed on like the Destiny Daleks. I think he's learned his lesson there, because printed on ice sculpts, especially on a flat, smooth surface, very rarely do you ever get them aligned. So thankfully, it being part of the sculpt there, even if it was printed on, it is thankfully perfectly aligned. Now, I've been quite lucky with this one, in fact these two actually that I've unboxed here, because a problem with these, and I mentioned it in my other review of the History 13 set, these, unfortunately, these slacks now, rather than being moulded in white, which is, I believe, what the originals are, these are moulded in the sort of bronze colour, and the problem is that they're only painting basically the front bit of the slat. They're not painting the bottom bit or the top bits, although they have seemingly done that on my one. I've seen a lot where they've actually missed the bottom bits out. Let's just double check the other one. Yeah, this one they've actually... This one's a rarity, because this one they've actually painted the bottom bits of the slacks and the top bits, which is something they haven't done with this Death Zone one, where it's just left grey at the bottom and grey at the top. So yeah, I've been quite lucky with the paint apps on this one. Yeah, I was expecting a short... But again, you know, this one may be alright. It does have a couple of bits of bleed here and there around the side and that, but still not too bad. Although then again, that is just basically luck of the draw, basically, because again, it's also really hard to tell within these boxes, you know, how good or bad that they look. If I grab one for an example that is in its box, so we'll just quickly go over the box now, we might as well. So here we are, here's a sealed up one. Interestingly, that the backdrops of these are still the blue one, whereas the front, this one is now yellow to represent the 6th Doctor. Again with the gold foil sticker on there, seeing Revelation of the Daleks. And on the back, we've got a load of information, which I can't be asked to read and never will, and neither will you. So there we go. But yeah, turning to this Dalek again, the other new section that is being added is this section here, which is just, if you're wondering why it is just a continuation of the mesh. For some reason, during the 1980s, a lot of Daleks, including these props, for some reason, they didn't sit flush on the shoulder section. There was actually a gap, which meant you could see the mesh poking through and at the bottom. Unfortunately, this has not been given the mesh effect, which means it looks pretty odd. For example, particularly in certain lighting, if I put a light on it, you can just see there how it's just like a completely smooth sort of bronze gold band to it, which again, it shouldn't be. It should have the mesh effect and that on it. So yeah, the fact that it doesn't, it just makes it look more odd. I mean, it's nice like there. Another thing that is wrong with this Dalek that could have been, you know, rectified to make it look a bit more like an 80s one is giving it a new dome. Because these domes, basically, they don't curve as much. They go a bit more straight down. There's a sharper steep on the top of the dome. And yeah, these needed to have modifications done to their domes anyway, to have a longer rod put on it for this section here. Now, it makes sense why it didn't change with this Dalek, because with that one, it was just a shortcraft one, so it makes sense not to change the dome. But with this one, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. It would, you know, if something like that was done, it would have just been an extra little thing, you know, to try and make it look a bit more like the actual 80s props. It does have an Imperial Dalek base, which is what is being used for basically all of the 70s Daleks at B&M, and now the 80s ones. But it does match pretty well with this, and it is good that the bottom bit, which is the rubber part, is still black rather than having the entirety of the base white. So yeah. So overall, what do I think of this set? Well, it has some problems to it. It does have some problems to it, and yeah, the consistency I've noticed of the paint as well, between the white of the skirts and the white of the dome, is, I don't know, it doesn't look quite the same. Like the white on here compared to the white of the dome, it looks ever so slightly different. The slightly different sort of bronze gold colour. To be honest, like, none of them have been perfect, to be honest. And yeah, but it does have some improvements to it over the previous ones. As I said, the oval is an improvement in that. The straight gun is an improvement. The new eye, the new dome lights are an improvement. Even though this does not have the mesh on it, the fact that this section and that is on there, that is still, you know, an improvement in that to it. If you wanted to make that more accurate with the mesh, what you could do is basically take this apart and either add the mesh effect on yourself, or you could even score it with a knife, and then obviously you have to repaint it to add a sort of mesh effect and that to it. But overall, it is a good set, and it is still thankfully $21.99, and is a great army builder set since both of these Daleks are exactly the same. However, it would have been nice if this was a regular Necros Dalek and a Skaro Dalek. And Algarve does not seem very keen on doing the Resurrection ones, although he's kind of done a 180 in that, because initially he said he wasn't going to do it, but now, because a lot of people were like, what the fuck, why is there no Resurrection set? It seems like that may be a thing that happens next year. But still, it is nice to have these two, and it is a great army builder pack. And at the end of the day, despite its faults, I still do like it. I still do like it. Not my favourite Daleks, but I still do like them nonetheless.